all unauthorized persons to exit the chamber. I'd like to recognize the distinguished senator from the 53rd District.
Good morning, Mr. President. It's a wonderful day in our state capitol. The sun's shining and the men and women of this body ready to work hard for the people of Georgia. A moment in history in 1994 and 2000. In perspective, the Super Bowl 28 and the Super Bowl 34 were played in this date at the Georgia Dome. And here we're about to make history again. And also, I know this is exciting, it's National Croissant Day, which is special to me. Also, the journal's been read and found to be correct for Tuesday, January 29th, and Monday, January 28th.
Thank you, Senator. Is there objection to dispensing with the reading of the journal? Hearing none, the reading of the journal is dispensed with. Is there objection to the confirmation of the journal? The chair hears none, and the journal is confirmed. All senators who have bills or resolutions introduced, please bring them to the Secretary's desk at this time. First reading and reference of Senate bills and resolutions.
Senate Bill 1 by Senators Perrin of the 42nd and others. The bill will be titled Enactment Title 40 of the OCGA relating to motor vehicles and traffic so as to provide for a penalty for hit and run accidents that result
Judiciary.
Senate Bill 4 by Senators Jordan of the 6th and others. The bill will be titled Enactment Chapter 4 of Title 28 of the CGA relating to legislative services generally so as to provide for a private lactation room open to the public.
State institutions and property.
Senate Bill 5 by Senator Anderson of the 24th. The bill will be titled An Act to Repeal an Act creating the Lincoln County Recreation Authority approved April 29, 1997 to provide for the assets and liabilities thereof, to provide for a related
State and local government operation.
Senate Bill 6 by Senators Kirkpatrick of 32nd and others. The bill will be titled An Act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 5 of Title 42 of the OCGA relating to general provisions regarding correctional institutions of the state and county so as to prohibit
Public safety.
Senate Bill 7 by Senator Jones of the 10th and others. The bill will be titled An Act to amend an Act revising, superseding, and consolidating the laws relating to the governing authority of DeKalb County and creating chairman and board of commissioners of said county.
State and local government operation.
Senate Bill 8 by Senators Martin of the 9th and others. The bill will be titled An Act to amend Code Section 4286 of the OCGA relating to special license plates, promoting and supporting certain worthy agencies, funds, or nonprofit corporations with
Public safety.
Senate Bill 14 by Senator C of the 34th and others. The bill will be titled An Act to amend Chapter 6 of Title 47 of the OCGA relating to the Georgia legislative retirement system so as to provide for definitions.
Retirement.
Senate Bill 32 by Senators Kirkpatrick of the 32nd and others. The bill will be titled An Act to amend Chapter 1 of Title 51 of the OCGA relating to general provisions relative to torts so as to provide for conditions upon immunity.
Special judiciary.
Senate Bill 33 by Senator Jones of the 10th and others. The bill will be titled An Act to amend Part 3 of Article 4 of Chapter 11 of Title 16 of the OCGA relating to carrying and possession of firearms so to prohibit all carrying of weapons and
Public safety.
Senate Bill 34 by Senator Jones of the 10th and others. The bill will be titled An Act to amend Article 4 of Chapter 11 of Title 16 of the OCGA relating to dangerous instrumentalities and practices so as to change provisions.
Judiciary.
Senate Bill 35 by Senator Jackson the 2nd and others. The bill will be titled An Act to amend Article 2 of Chapter 1 of Title 42 of the OCGA relating to Sexual Offender Registration Review Board so as to prohibit sex offenders from residing
Judiciary.
Senate Bill 36 by Senators Henderson of the 41st and others. The bill will be titled An Act to amend Article 7 of Chapter 4 of Title 49 of the OCGA relating to medical assistance generally so as to provide for the
Health and Human Services.
Senate Bill 37 by Senator Ligon of the 3rd and others. A bill will be titled An Act to amend Article 2 of Chapter 5 of Title 13 of the OCGA relating to the statute of frauds so as to clarify that a mutual agreement to modify or alter an existing promise, agreement, contract, or commitment that is subject to the statute of frauds shall...
Banking and financial institutions.
Senate Bill 38 by Senator Ligon of the 3rd and others. A bill will be titled An Act to amend Article 15 of the OCGA relating to courts so as to exclude certain types of filings from the electronic filing requirements of superior...
Judiciary.
Senate Bill 39 by Senators Jackson the 2nd and others. The bill will be titled An Act to amend Article 3 of Chapter 5 of Title 17 of the OCGA relating to disposition of property seized so as to provide law enforcement agencies.
Public safety.
Senate Bill 40 by Senator Jackson the 2nd and others. The bill will be titled An Act to amend Code Section 1665.1 of the OCGA relating to sexual assault by persons with supervisory or disciplinary authority.
Judiciary.
Senate Resolution 49 by Senator Walker of the 20th and others. A resolution recognizing Mr. Jackie Holder and dedicating a road in his honor and for other purposes.
Transportation.
Senate Resolution 50 by Senator Jordan of the 6th and others. A resolution expressing cultural, economic, and educational cooperation with the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland.
Rules.
Senate Resolution 52 by Senator Perrin of the 42nd and others. A resolution proposing an amendment to the Constitution so as to provide that legislative and congressional reapportionment be done by an independent, nonpartisan commission instead of the General Assembly.
Reapportionment and redistricting.
Senate Resolution 55 by Senators Orrock of the 36th and others. A resolution to ratify an amendment to the United States Constitution and for other purposes.
Judiciary.
Mr. President, the Senate has received the names of appointments to the Judicial Qualifications Commission that requires Senate confirmation from the Lieutenant Governor and Supreme Court of Georgia.
Those appointments are referred to the Committee on Assignments.
Mr. President, that concludes the order.
It is now time for morning roll call. Are there any motions to excuse? Any motions to excuse? Chair recognizes the senator from the 27th.
Morning, Mr. Chairman. I ask for unanimous consent that we excuse the senator from the 9th for business inside the Capitol.
Without objection, the senator from the 9th is excused. Are there any other motions to excuse? The Secretary will call the roll of the senators. Signify your presence by voting the yea switch. The Secretary will unlock the machine. Who's coming? Oh, Senator Watson. Okay. It's now time for our morning devotional. Will all senators please take your seats and cease audible conversations? Doorkeepers, will you secure the doors? This time I'd like to recognize the senator from the 1st to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and introduce our chaplain of the day.
Thank you, Mr. President. Let's pledge allegiance to the U.S. flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now the Georgia flag. I pledge allegiance to the Georgia flag and to the principles for which it stands, wisdom, justice, and moderation. It's my honor today to introduce our chaplain of the day, Reverend John Fender. Is originally from Jessup, Georgia, grew up in Glenn County down in Brunswick, where Senator Senator from the 3rd is from. Started the First Presbyterian Church of Pooler. He's pastored in Marion, Alabama. He graduated with a business degree from Mercer University and a Master's of Divinity degree from Covenant Theological Seminary. He and his wife, Leslie, have been married for 23 years. They have 2 children, Caroline and Catherine. Caroline is a sophomore at Georgia Southern. Catherine plans to attend the University of Georgia in the fall. It is without further ado that I represent a friend of mine, a leader in our community in Pooler, Georgia, and in the Savannah area, the Reverend John Fender.
Thank you, sir. Lieutenant Governor, Senator Watson. Senator, it's a great honor to be here today. Good morning to all of you. The year was 1774, and the problem our forefathers were trying to wrestle through was if we throw off the rule of Great Britain, what takes its place? And so this interesting battle, the concern was you throw off one tyranny, replace it with something else that may be as poor, may even be worse. John Witherspoon was a clergyman, the only active clergyman to sign the Declaration of Independence. And in July of 1774, he puts pen to paper and charges his other leaders in this way. He says, "For what would it signify to risk our possessions and shed our blood to set ourselves free from the encroachments and oppression of Great Britain with the certainty that as soon as peace was settled with them of a more lasting war, a more unnatural, a more bloody, a more hopeless war among the colonies themselves. Some of us consider ourselves as acting for posterity at present, having little expectation of living to see all the things fully settled and the good consequences of liberty taking effect. But how much more uncertain the hope of seeing the internal contests of the colonies settled upon a lasting and equitable footing. Here's his concern. We're getting rid of something we don't like, but what if we replace it with something worse? What if we create a scenario where we fight among ourselves, among the colonies, and create a greater problem than we had in the start? And then he adds something very fascinating. This is July 1774. He says, one of the greatest dangers I've considered in the colonies as exposed to at the present is the treachery among ourselves. Treachery, deceitful actions, breaking down trust. He's concerned about, yes, we need to get the right system, but we also need to relate together well in a proper manner. But what if we break down trust? What if we divide ourselves? What if we argue among ourselves? And so here his concern, can the people and the parties, can they relate well with one another? Or will they just fight with each other? Now it's interesting, that's not the 2016 or 2018 or 2020 campaign he's talking about. This is 1774. And he's worried, will we have the ability to do what we need to do to care for our people? And so in that, I've come today not to speak about the content of any policy, but the character of the politician and the character of those that are involved in the communities. How do we look at our own hearts, our own lives, and say, how can we respond differently? We need men and women who are rooted in the grace of God, shaped by the moral character of God. We need men and women of conviction who will stand their ground and yet do so in humility, who will stand their ground and yet be kind and gracious to one another, who will, yes, disagree but not be disagreeable, who will confront when needed to be but not be confrontational. How do we get to that point where we are able to do what we need to do for the good of our state and the good of our people? Well, Paul, the Apostle Paul, in Ephesians chapter 4, he charges us in this way. He says, do not let any unwholesome talk come out of our mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. I'm convinced we have a great system of government, perhaps the best system of government in the world. And yet, how do we relate? Well, here's the charge. We have to make sure that what's coming out of our mouth is wholesome and good and profitable for those involved. We all know that in some sense. But how do you do it? There becomes a real challenge. How do I get to the point? Where's the strength sufficient to be restrained, to be helpful, to be kind and gracious? Where's the power for those things? It's found not in Ephesians 4, but in Ephesians 1, where he says the grace, the power, the strength comes from one source. Peace to you, grace to you, and peace. This is Ephesians 1, verse 2. Grace and peace to you from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. Only when I receive grace from God can I give grace to others. Only when the grace of God transforms me through his Son Jesus can I be a transformative influence amongst those around me. And so here's my charge and my prayer in just a moment for you, that God would open our eyes, that by faith we would see, I need that grace. John Fender needs that grace. You need that grace. And yet, as we receive it and see it through God's Son, Jesus, there can be wonderful change. That we would hold our convictions, and yet in a way that's profitable for our state and the business before us. Let me pray for you. If you'll stand with me, please. Eternal God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, the God who was and is to come, before whose face generations rise and fall, in your kind providence, you have created this nation and this state. May we all, these leaders and myself, be ever mindful of our need for you and the transforming power of your grace. And being mindful of such, may Jesus transform our hearts in such a way that this room would be the very venue in which we see that what you're able to do when the good news of the gospel of Jesus Christ brings together what sin has divided. We pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
At this time, I'd like to call on the senator from the 38th to introduce our Doctor of the Day.
Thank you, Mr. President, colleagues. It is my honor and pleasure to introduce to you our Doctor of the Day, and of course, I certainly hope no one will need her help today. But she's here. Lejeune Elder Oliver, MD, is a Boyd-certified family medicine physician and obesity medicine specialist with Kaiser Permanente. Dr. Oliver currently serves as Adult Primary Care South Area Chief. Dr. Oliver's passion is to promote healthy lifestyles and prevention to her patients and community. She is a native of Georgia, received her Bachelor's of Science degree from Emory University, and Doctorate of Medicine degree from Medical College of Georgia. She's completed her internship and residency at Emory University School of Medicine, which everybody knows I do everything at Emory. Dr. Oliver speaks at schools, churches, and other community organizations encouraging wellness and prevention. She is an active member of Zion Hill Baptist Church in Southwest Atlanta, and they in a lovely facility that I visit often. Dr. Oliver enjoys traveling, and her greatest joy in life is spending time with her 2 children. I want you to welcome today our Doctor of the Day, Dr. Oliver.
Thank you so much, Senator Tate. Wonderful Wednesday to each of you. I bring greetings on behalf of the Southeast Permanente Medical Group. It is certainly my pleasure and my privilege to be here to serve as your Doctor of the Day. And certainly as a native Georgian, I am most grateful to have you representing me as well as representing our community. Thank you so much for the work that you do.
All right, if I could have your attention, please. We've got some special guests with us today let's first rewind just a little bit. Let's go back to unanimous consents. Are there any unanimous consents? All right, now let's move on. We've got some special guests with us today that we'd like to recognize. Will the Secretary read a resolution?
Senate Resolution 23 by Senators Harbin of the 16th and others, a resolution commending the Peachtree City Little League baseball team for an outstanding 2018 season in baseball competition and for other purposes. Whereas the Peachtree City Little League baseball team has established and maintained a proud tradition of excellence with equal emphases on character and skill development, and whereas this magnificent team performed with precision during the season and earned its well-deserved reputation for high standards of athletic achievement, the quality of its play, and the stiff competition it presented to its opponents. Now therefore be resolved by the Senate that the members of this body commend the Peachtree City Little League baseball team and extend their most sincere best wishes for continued success. That concludes the order.
Before I introduce the senator from the 16th to introduce these folks, I just want to say that congratulations on behalf of an ex-baseball player, somebody who spent most of my young life trying to get to the Little League World Series, but got to play a little bit later. Baseball is a great game, and I've learned a lot from the game, way more important than baseball. So thanks for coming to see us today. Oops. Is there objection to the adoption? Hearing none, we are adopted.
Well, good morning. I am proud here to bring you the coaches of the Peachtree City Little League team, the Peachtree Americans, and the team. Part of the team here, we have Randy Clem, Kyle Ryan, and Patrick Gloria. They have done an outstanding job in leading their team and making sacrifices and investment in the next generation. In the gallery, we have a group of the young people in the team that played their heart out and whose sportsmanship and athletic skills determined that that we want to honor today. And I want them to stand up. If we have most of the team, we got 2 of them down here. Stand up, if you will, up in the gallery and give them a hand. This team, the Peachtree City Americans, went all the way to the World Championship in 2018 and was ranked as one of the top of the 4 Little League teams in the world. The team not only competed in the top on their field, but also displayed such class that while doing so, they received the Jack Loshman Sportsman's Award for outstanding character. And if you watch the game and watch these teams together, it was absolutely incredible to see the sportsmanship that was going on during that time. Some of the players' parents are here with us also. As my father and myself, I know the sacrifices that must be taking place when children are playing sports. We thank you for what you've done, and we know the investment that you've made in the players and what those fruits will bring in the years to come. And if the parents, are you up here somewhere? Have we got some of the parents in the back? Okay. Okay, they make it happen. Thank you. And let's give them a hand of applause. We also have with us the mayor of Peachtree City, Vanessa Flash, and so she is with us as well, along with the coaches. You know, these young players are the future Babe Ruths, the future Ty Cobbs, or maybe they're the future Jeff Duncans, lieutenant governors. You never know what y'all guys may turn out to be from that standpoint. And inspire us. They gave us not only a great love for baseball and the game and winning, but I want to tell you what, the love between the teams was absolutely awesome. And when you watch that, I believe that's one of the things. You know what? You can play a game, you can win or lose, but how you come out together, you can shake hands and love one another and encourage one another. It was just a great testimony of the sport and of sportsmanship that's there. And so I want to thank that. I have the resolution here, and I'm going to ask Patrick, Gloria, to come up and say just a few words. And I'm going to give that to you, the resolution. And we thank your team and for all you've done. Fantastic job. Thank you for investing in the youth and the future of our country and our state.
Thank you. I want to appreciate Senator Harbin and Lieutenant Governor having us here. It was an honor to represent the state of Georgia, Peachtree City. The kids did a great job of making me look really good every day. It was an honor to coach with Randy and Kyle, but we really appreciate the support that we've gotten from the state and from the city, and thank you all again for having us.
We have another special guest with us today that we'd like to recognize. Will the Secretary read the resolution?
Senate Resolution 22 by Senators Wilkinson the 50th and others, a resolution commending those in the veterinary medicine field and recognizing January 30th, 2019 as Veterinary Medicine Day at the state capitol and for other purposes. Whereas Georgia veterinarians use their scientific knowledge and skills to benefit society through the protection of animal health, the relief of animal suffering, the conservation of livestock resources, the promotion of public health, and the advancement of medical knowledge. And whereas the Georgia Veterinary Medical Association has been the voice of organized veterinary medicine for more than 100 years, and whereas the Georgia State Board of Veterinary Medicine is appointed to protect, promote, and preserve the public health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of Georgia through the regulation of licensed veterinarians, veterinary technicians, and faculty veterinarians in the state. And now therefore be resolved by the Senate that the members of this body commend those in the veterinary medicine field for improving the health and welfare of animals throughout the state and recognizing January 30th, 2019 as Veterinary Medicine Day at the state capitol. Mr. President, that concludes the order.
Is there objection to the adoption of the resolution? The chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. I'd like to call at this time the senator from the 50th to introduce our special guest.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the Senate. It is an honor for me to have the opportunity to recognize the leadership of the Georgia Veterinary Association today. Also, before I get started, I know that we have a number of veterinarians, a number of your constituents in the gallery today. I'd like for you to stand so we can recognize you at this time. Thank you very much for being here. All of us recognize a very important role and the skill that it takes to keep our animals safe and our livestock healthy in our state. I'd like to say to all of you, we appreciate the important work that you do, and we're glad to have you with us today. We have some of the leadership of the Veterinary Medicine Association with us today. I'd like for each of you to raise your hand when I recognize you, and then we have a resolution to present to you. Susan Blevins, Caitlin Brennan, Dean Lisa Nolan. I believe she's the 8th Dean of the College of Veterinary Medicine at the University of Georgia. Dr. Becky Malphus. And then at this time, I'm going to call on the president of the association, Dr. Mike Zager, to come and make some comments. And Dr. Zager, it's my pleasure to present this resolution to you.
Thank you, Senator Wilkinson, and members of the Senate for this privilege of speaking to you today. As president of the Georgia Veterinary Medical Association, I am here to represent the GVMA, the voice of veterinary medical profession in legislative matters as well as the authority on animal health issues in Georgia. Since 1906, the GVMA has been serving Georgia's veterinary community, which today consists of more than 3,500 licensed veterinarians in clinical practice, teaching and research, regulatory medicine, public health, and military service. As the other family doctor, today's veterinarians are the only medical professions educated to protect the health of both animals and people. Perhaps that is why consumer surveys consistently rank veterinarians among the most respected professionals in America. They work hard to address the health needs of every species of animal, and they also play a critical role in agribusiness, Georgia's largest economic sector. In addition to environmental protection, food safety, animal welfare, and public health. Again, thank you all for your time, and before I leave, I would like to make a simple request. When considering any legislation pertaining to animals and public health, I would encourage each member of this assembly to talk to your veterinary constituents for a factual and science-based perspective. Veterinarians are the voice of reason in the animal welfare community. And if you ever have any questions that need answers that you can't find elsewhere, please know that the GVMA is here to help you. Contact us at any time and we'll be glad to help. Thank you very much for your time.
We have an additional special guest with us here today that we'd like to recognize. Will the Secretary read the resolution?
Senate Resolution 54 by Senators Martin of the Ninth and others, a resolution commending the Honorable Ambassador Harsh Vardhan Shringla for other purposes. Whereas the Honorable Ambassador Harsh Vardhan Shringla assumed charge as India's ambassador to the United States on January 9, 2019, presenting his credentials to President of the United States Donald Trump on January 11, 2019. And whereas he is a career diplomat who has admirably served as a member of the Indian Foreign Services since 1984, and whereas Ambassador Shringla's spectacular career has included pursuing courses and publishing papers on conflict prevention, economic diplomacy, the Indian diaspora, and India-Bangladesh relations, and some of his most notable accomplishments include having served as High Commissioner of India to Bangladesh and Ambassador of India to the Kingdom of Thailand. And whereas it is abundantly fitting and proper that the outstanding accomplishments and contributions to this distinguished diplomat be appropriately recognized. Now therefore be resolved by the Senate that the members of this body commend the Honorable Ambassador Harsh Vardhan Shringla for his tireless efforts in furtherance of the ties of friendship between India and the United States. Mr. President, that concludes the order.
Is there objection to the adoption of the resolution? The chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. I'd like to call upon the senator from the 9th to introduce our special guest here today.
Thank you, Mr. President. It is my great honor to introduce today the Ambassador Harsh V. Shringla. He's newly selected for the position, and he's doing a great job for India. He's met with President Trump already and various State Department officials and other parts of the administration. He is one of India's top diplomats, and he's the former High Commissioner of India in Bangladesh and a member of the Indian Foreign Service. He's also served as the minister in the permanent mission of India to the UN, and the ambassador studied multilateral diplomacy and conflict prevention at Columbia University in New York. He's a strong believer of engaging both sides to embrace a bilateral relationship. And the relationship between the U.S. and India is strong, and it's vital to our economy and to our people. And we also have a great number of Indians and Indian Americans who reside both in Georgia and also in my home county of Gwinnett County. So excited to have here and a couple little tidbits about our relationship, both the U.S. and Georgia. In 2017, Georgia exports to India totaled $1 billion, which represented a 167% increase over 2016. And the ambassador told me also today that year over year, total U.S. exports to India have increased by 30%. So they're a very important friend and partner, and I'm excited to host him here today. And if you please welcome him.
Honorable Lieutenant Governor, Honorable Senators, I'd like to thank Senator Martin for introducing me and the resolution. We're very honored to be here in the state of Georgia. As Senator Martin said, I arrived in the United States only 3 weeks ago. This is my first outstation visit, official visit outside of Washington, D.C. I'm very happy that it is to the city of Atlanta and this great state of Georgia. We have had our consulate here since 2011. We are very well represented by our Consul General, Dr. Swati Kulkarni, and her team. Since our consulate was established, our engagement with this part of the country has increased significantly. We have 80 Indian companies that have invested up to $8 billion in the southeast region of the United States, of which, of course, Georgia takes the lion's share. We are looking to increase the economic engagement through investments, two-way investments in high technology, in the area of defense production, in several other areas. We would certainly look to your support and cooperation in this endeavor. I just met Governor Kemp, and we encouraged him to see if we could open up a trade office, a commercial office of the state of Georgia in India. And I thank you once again for honoring me on my first ever visit to Atlanta, and I certainly look forward to continued engagement between the state and my country. Thank you once again for giving me this honor. Namaskar.
At this time, do any senators wish to rise on a point of personal privilege? Chair would like to recognize the senator from the 23rd.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to rise to pay tribute to another law enforcement officer from my district who has fallen in the line of duty. Joshua Ryer Jr., a deputy with the Glasscock County Sheriff's Department, had been on the job for 6 months. He was 19 years old. He was killed in an auto crash. Would you please join me in a moment of silence? Thank you very much.
Chair would like to recognize the senator from the 6th.
My little person up there. Do you have to wait till the light? Okay. All right. On Monday, a bipartisan group of senators, indeed all 2 women Republican senators, filed a resolution for Georgia to ratify the Equal Rights Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. This effort requires just one more state, and Georgia should be the one. So I've heard from folks, why do we need it? You know, we've got laws in place. To be clear, we have achieved much through federal civil rights laws. But laws can be changed. They can always be altered. When my daughter and when my son study the U.S. Constitution, I want them to see that men and women are of equal stature. I'd like them to see that this is a basic principle of our country. This isn't about giving women special rights. It is about equal rights. I'm going to end with a quote from Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I ask no favor for my sex. All I ask of our brethren is that they take their feet off our necks. I yield the well. Thank you.
Chair would like to recognize the senator from the 55th.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the Senate. I would like to introduce to you and welcome Dr. Douglas E. Ely, a constituent from my district, District 55. And he's here today with a few of his American government students from the University of North Georgia, which is in Gainesville. They are here today to observe the political process. Let's welcome them. Welcome them to the Georgia State Senate. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield.
Thank you, Senator. The chair would like to recognize the senator from the 45th.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate. I especially appreciate the senator from the 6th and her previous comments. I'd also like to say thank you to the senator from Metropolitan Atlanta. I believe she's from Senate District 38, who last week presented a Senate Resolution 55 for the Equal Rights Amendment. And today we will be dropping a bill that is the exact same language as her bill. The senator from the 36, I said 38, I'm sorry. 36, we will be dropping the exact same bill. We have quite a few signatures. I want to say thank you to the people that have signed on to that bill, and is floating around in here now. If you'd like to sign it, please sign it. We will also be having a press conference at 12:15 in the Senate press room. Thank you very much, and I yield the well.
Thank you, Senator. The chair would like to call on the senator from the 18th.
Good morning, Senators, and thank you, Mr. President, for allowing me to speak. You know, we're all excited about the Super Bowl coming to Atlanta, and it's a great time for us to showcase Atlanta and showcase our state. But there's another side that comes to such an event. If I could have your attention, I'm going to speak seriously for just a moment. With a big event such as the Super Bowl, there are increased numbers of people, crowds, and those that come with concerns about the growth in crime. In a city such as Atlanta, where we already combat sexual trafficking, criminals may see an opportunity in the confusion that such an event brings to our state. Last session, we passed House Bills 341 and 732 in order to prep law enforcement and the public to address issues like this directly. This is not an opportunity for criminals to take advantage, and for those who think that this is, there's going to be some harsh consequences. In 2017, there were 3,698 female victims and 607 male victims of sex trafficking. As of 2017, the National Human Trafficking Hotline Resource Center reported there were 36,270 human trafficking cases reported since December of 2007. I want to thank and publicly acknowledge the senator from the 45th, our colleague, who has led the Republican efforts and then led the bipartisan efforts for the passage of these bills. Everyone in this chamber and everyone in the sound of my voice knows of how hard she has worked for victims and other rights, and she's been very successful, and I and this whole chamber are very grateful. HB 341, sponsored by the senator from the 45th, provides that there are mandatory terms of imprisonment for sex trafficking of individuals, with a felony charge of at least 10 years and no more than 20, and fines to go along with that. She also championed HB 732 regarding the trafficking of individuals for sexual servitude. Thank you, Senator, for your efforts along those points. I'm also pleased to acknowledge our Attorney General, General Chris Carr, who is in the gallery with us, who is absolutely committed to making sure that these laws are fully enforced, and that they see the full effectiveness that was intended by the legislature. He's given us his word on that, and we know he is good with his word. He enforces these kinds of laws so that we can keep our people, our children, our citizens safe. Thank you, Attorney General, for that. Thank you for being here this morning. Let's welcome him, please. Finally, to the criminals and would-be criminals, don't come to Georgia with your sick behavior and your criminal efforts. You know, they say in Texas, don't mess with Texas. Well, in Georgia, you better not mess with our children. We value our children, and we will protect them. We have laws that do that, and we know they're going to be enforced. Thank you very much, Mr. President. I yield the well.
Thank you, Senator. The chair would like to recognize the senator from the 48th.
My esteemed colleagues, I just want to stand up and reaffirm and support the comments that have been made this morning about sex trafficking and human trafficking. As you are all probably aware, Atlanta is a hub for trafficking, not only during the Super Bowl, but throughout the year, because we do have an airport. As you probably know, I am a former federal prosecutor, and I prosecuted sex trafficking and human trafficking crimes. And by taking the well today, I want to thank all law enforcement officers, federal, state, and local, who combat these crimes on a daily basis. They work hard. It is very, very difficult work, particularly when you have young victims. And so I would like to commend law enforcement, and I wish everybody a very safe Super Bowl weekend. And I thank all law enforcement again for all you do to keep us safe. And if we can ever be of assistance, please call on us. I yield the well.
Thank you, Senator. The chair would like to recognize the senator from the 32nd.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is actually an announcement for the members of the Senate. As you know, we had our snow day yesterday, and so one of our 2 sessions for mandatory sexual harassment training was canceled. Please be sure that you attend the session this afternoon. It's in room 450 from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock. And the alternate date, if you can't make it today, is next Tuesday, February 5th. From 1 to 2. So we'll send you an email giving you that option, but you need to attend one of them. And if you have a conflict, please let me know. I yield the well.
Thank you, Senator. You have a consent calendar of privileged resolutions before you. Does any senators wish to remove a resolution from the consent calendar? Is there objection to the adoption of the resolution on the consent calendar? The chair hears none, and the resolution on the consent calendar are adopted. Are there any motions to withdraw and commit? I'd like to recognize the majority leader at this time.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate stand adjourned until 10 a.m. on Tuesday, February 5th.
The secretary will read the announcements.
Rules will meet upon adjournment 4:50 at the Capitol. Public safety will meet at 1 p.m. in Mez 1. The ethics training will be at 2 p.m. and 4:50 at the Capitol. Education and youth has been canceled. Economic development and tourism has been canceled. Health and Human Services will meet at 3 p.m. and 4:50 at the Capitol. Retirement has been canceled. Judiciary has been canceled. Mr. President, that concludes the order.
Are there any other announcements from the members? All right, excited about Georgia being in the global spotlight here over the next few days, and wish we were rooting for the Falcons, but we're going to root for a good football game on Sunday. The majority leader has moved that the Senate stand adjourned until 10 a.m. on Tuesday, February 5th. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. All opposed, no. The ayes clearly have it. We stand adjourned.